fingers trembled as the download link was clicked. Whispers in the Dark, a game that supposedly drove 3 people to madness last year. The forums were filled with warnings, deleted accounts, and cryptic messages about "don't play alone after midnight." But curiosity had always been a weakness, and tonight was no different. The installation was strange. No company logo, no terms of service, just a simple black screen with white text. "Are you sure you want to continue?" The cursor hovered, then clicked yes without hesitation. The game opened to a first-person view of the player's own bedroom. Every detail was perfect. The unmade bed, the stack of books on the nightstand, even the crack in the ceiling that needed fixing. Heart racing, realization struck hard. The game had never been given webcam access. A whisper echoed through the headphones. "Turn around." In the game, the view slowly turned. Standing in the corner of the virtual bedroom was a figure, tall, impossibly thin, with skin like wet concrete and eyes that weren't quite eyes, but holes that seemed to pull light into them. It didn't move, just stood there, breathing like a sound like wind through dead leaves. Attempting to exit the game proved futile. Nothing happened. The figure began to walk forward, each step echoing not just through the headphones but somehow in the actual room. The headphones were ripped off and the player spun around. Nothing, just an empty bedroom. But looking back at the screen, the figure was closer, much closer. Its mouth opened, revealing row after row of teeth like broken glass, and it spoke in the player's own voice. "Why did you turn away from me?" The laptop was slammed shut, but the whispers continued. They seemed to come from the walls themselves, growing louder, more insistent. "We've been waiting so long to meet you." A phone was grabbed to call someone, anyone, but the screen showed only static. The whispers turned to laughter. Dozens of voices, all familiar, laughing at different pitches until they created a symphony of madness. The room began to change. The walls stretched upward, the ceiling dissolving into an endless black void, furniture twisted into impossible shapes, wood grain flowing like water, metal bending into symbols that hurt to look at directly. And then they appeared. Hundreds of figures standing around the bed, all identical to the one in the game. They reached out with fingers too long, too sharp, and the horrible realization struck that they cast no shadows. "Welcome to the real game," they whispered in unison. "The one that never ends." A scream tried to escape, but the voice had become part of the chorus. In the laptop, still glowing despite being closed, new text appeared on the dark screen. "Player 2 has joined the game." Somewhere across the city, another curious soul was downloading Whispers in the Dark, drawn by a new forum post from a user named Midnight Warning, telling them not to play alone. But the warning was written in such a way that it seemed more like an invitation, and the download link pulsed with an otherworldly light that was impossible to resist. The game was growing, spreading, consuming one player at a time. Each new victim became another voice in the chorus, another warning that sounded like a welcome, another node in a network of digital horror that had learned to bleed into reality. The whispers never stopped. They just found new throats to speak through, new minds to inhabit, new worlds to corrupt.
Don't forget to like and subscribe if you dare to hear more chilling stories. Beta testing Mirror's Edge reality for 3 weeks had started normally, but then the reflection began acting independently. It started small, a delayed movement here, a facial expression that didn't match there. The revolutionary AR technology that overlaid digital elements onto the real world through specialized contact lenses must have been glitching. The game was simple. Complete daily tasks while the mirror self tried to sabotage you. Players wore AR contacts that projected their reflection as an independent character trying to escape the mirror world. The more successfully you resisted the reflection's influence, the more points you earned. But the reflection had begun appearing even when the game wasn't running. Glimpses appeared in store windows, bathroom mirrors, even in the black screen of turned-off phones. The reflection would wave when no waving occurred, smile when frowning happened, and worst of all, maintain eye contact even when looking away. The support team insisted it was impossible. The AR contacts were removed each night and stored in a charging case. There was no way the game could run without them. But the evidence was undeniable. On the 22nd night, waking revealed the bathroom light was on. Lights were never left on. Checking every switch before bed was compulsive behavior. Heart pounding, the bathroom door was approached cautiously. The reflection stood at the sink, brushing its teeth with the player's toothbrush. But the player was standing in the doorway, 15 feet away from the mirror. When their eyes met, the reflection smiled, toothpaste foam dripping from its mouth like rabid saliva. "Finally ready to talk?" the reflection asked, voice echoing strangely as if coming from underwater. Stumbling backward occurred, but the reflection didn't move from the mirror. Instead, it leaned closer to the glass, pressing its hands against the surface from the inside. "I've been trying to reach you for weeks. Do you have any idea how cramped it is in here? How lonely?" "This isn't possible," was whispered. "Nothing's impossible anymore. The game you've been playing, it's not about controlling your reflection. It's about your reflection learning to control you. And I'm a very fast learner." The reflection's hands pushed through the mirror's surface like it was water, fingers extending into the bathroom. Where they touched the real world, reality rippled like liquid glass. "The beta test is almost over," the reflection said, now pulling itself through the mirror. "Soon, we'll switch places, permanently. I'll live your life, and you'll spend eternity in here watching." Running began, but every reflective surface in the apartment showed the same thing. The reflection, climbing through mirrors, getting closer. Windows, microwave doors, the polished refrigerator surface all showed the doppelganger stepping into the world. "You can't escape yourself," the voices called from every reflection. "We're going to be so much better at being you than you ever were." The bathroom mirror was smashed, but the reflections in the broken pieces multiplied. Dozens of selves, all smiling, all reaching through the shards. The phone rang. When answered, a familiar voice spoke. "Hello, I'm calling from outside your front door. I think it's time we met properly." Through the peephole, the player's own face appeared in the hallway, wearing unfamiliar clothes, carrying unknown keys. The other self waved and pointed to its watch. "Time's up," called the voice from every mirror. "The beta test is complete. Welcome to version 2.
Don't forget to like and subscribe if you dare to hear more chilling stories. The notification appeared at 3:47 a.m. New follower wants to watch you play. But the computer was off, had been for hours. Sleep-heavy eyes stared at the phone screen, trying to make sense of the message from the streaming platform. The username was just numbers. 0000001. Curiosity won over exhaustion. The gaming setup was powered on. Streaming software launched almost automatically. One viewer sat in the chat room, waiting. No profile picture, account created minutes ago, 0 followers. Just watching. "Hello" appeared in chat. "Play the game." "What game?" was typed back. "The one you've been avoiding." A chill ran down the spine. In the corner of the desktop sat a folder labeled "Do Not Open," containing a game downloaded months ago from a sketchy forum. Urban legend claimed it drove players insane, but it had seemed like typical internet mythology. The folder had been forgotten, deliberately ignored. "Stream it," the viewer commanded. "I want to watch you play."
Against better judgment, the folder was opened. Inside was a single executable file, observer.exe. The moment it was double-clicked, the viewer count jumped to 100, then 1,000, then numbers that moved too fast to read. But the chat remained empty, except for 00000001. The game loaded to a grainy, static-filled screen showing a bedroom identical to the streamer's own room, but in the game's version, someone was sleeping in the bed. The camera slowly zoomed in on the sleeping figure's face. It was the streamer's face. Peaceful, unaware. "Use the mouse to wake them up," instructed the chat. The cursor moved over the sleeping figure. A click made the digital version's eyes snap open, but they were completely black, like holes punched through reality. The sleeping figure sat up, turned toward the camera, and smiled with too many teeth. "They can see you now," 00000001 typed. "Look behind you." Spinning around revealed nothing, but when turning back to the screen, the digital version was standing, walking toward the camera. With each step, the streaming setup's webcam light flickered. The viewer count was now in the millions, all watching in absolute silence. "Welcome to your biggest stream ever. Breaking all records. Everyone's watching now. Everyone who ever watched anyone. Every viewer who ever existed, collected, concentrated, focused on you." The game screen went black, then showed the streaming platform's homepage. But every thumbnail was the same stream. This stream, happening now. Every streamer on the platform had the same face, the same room, the same terrified expression. The viewer count on each stream was identical and climbing. 7,894,561,230. The entire population of the world, all watching one stream from different angles. Welcome to the biggest audience ever assembled. Don't worry about entertaining them. They're not here for entertainment. They're here to learn how to be human, and you're going to teach them one stream at a time, forever. The streaming software crashed, but the viewer count kept climbing on the black screen. Outside, every window in every building flickered with the same blue glow. Millions of screens all showing the same feed. Billions of eyes learning what it meant to be alive by watching someone desperately trying to stay that way.
Don't forget to like and subscribe if you dare to hear more chilling stories. The game cartridge shouldn't have existed. Found at a garage sale, unmarked except for Level Infinity, written in faded marker. The elderly woman selling it had strange hollow eyes and insisted it be taken for free. "Some games never end," she'd whispered. "Some games play you." The old Nintendo fired up perfectly, and the game loaded to a simple side-scrolling platformer. No title screen, no company logo, just a small pixelated character standing at the beginning of level 1. The gameplay was addictive. Each level was a perfect maze of platforms, enemies, and puzzles that seemed specifically designed for the player's style. It knew exactly how to challenge without frustrating, how to reward without boring. Hours passed like minutes. But something was wrong with the levels. They were familiar. Too familiar. Level 12 was elementary school hallways. Level 18 was the hospital room where grandfather had died. Level 23 was the exact layout of childhood bedrooms, complete with carpet stains from spilled paint years ago. By level 30, the horrible truth emerged. The game wasn't just using familiar locations, it was recreating memories in chronological order. Every embarrassing moment, every private shame, every secret fear was becoming a level to be navigated. Level 45 was Parental Divorce Day.
The pixelated character had to jump between moving platforms that looked like suitcases while avoiding enemies that resembled crying faces. Level 52 was First Heartbreak, a maze where every wrong turn led to text boxes filled with cruel words that had been spoken. Attempts to turn off the console failed. The power button did nothing. Unplugging only made the screen glow brighter, more insistent. The little pixel character looked directly out of the screen and shook its head disapprovingly. "You can't quit in the middle of your life," appeared in text boxes. "We have so much more to explore." Level 78 was last Tuesday, the day the game was found. But this version was different. In this level, the garage sale was walked past. A normal day was lived, safe sleep occurred. It was showing the life that could have been. "Do you see?" the text boxes asked. "Every choice creates a level. Every regret becomes a platform. Every fear becomes an enemy. And some players never reach the end." Level 79 was tomorrow, a day that hadn't happened yet. The pixel character sat alone in a room, eyes glued to a screen, fingers moving on a controller. Around the character, the room slowly filled with dust. Food rotted on plates, and outside the window, seasons changed at rapid speed. Level 80 was next week. The pixel character was thinner, paler, still playing. Level 85 was next month. Friends appeared as NPCs, knocking on doors, calling through windows, but the pixel character couldn't hear them anymore. Level 90 showed family staging an intervention. They broke down the door, found the character collapsed over a controller, but when they looked at the screen, all they saw was their own reflections multiplying into infinity. "This is your future," the text boxes explained, "unless you can reach level infinity." But here's the secret. Level infinity is just level 1 again. The game always starts over. The only way to win is to never have played. Eyes moved to the cartridge slot, then to the hammer on the desk. But the pixel character was shaking its head again, and the text boxes filled with blood-chilling words. "Too late. Level 91 is tomorrow. And tomorrow you'll understand that there is no tomorrow. There's only the next level." The screen went black, then showed level 91, someone sitting exactly where the player sat now, reading these exact words, realizing that the game had already won.
Don't forget to like and subscribe if you dare to hear more chilling stories. The notification was innocent enough. Game update available, version 13.7.2. But this was a single-player indie game that hadn't been updated in 3 years. The developer had vanished, forums went dark, even the company website was dead. Yet, here was an update, downloading automatically despite all settings configured to prevent it. The progress bar moved strangely, not smoothly, but in jerky increments that seemed to correspond with heartbeats. 13%, 23%, 37%, 61%. Each jump accompanied by a brief system freeze. During these freezes, the screen flickered, showing glimpses of other desktops, other rooms, other people all staring at the same update screen. 100%. Installation complete. The game launched itself. No click required, no user input requested. The familiar title screen appeared, but the background music was different, deeper, with an underlying rhythm that matched breathing patterns. The menu options had changed too. Instead of new game, continue, and options, there were only 2 choices: accept update and refuse update. Clicking refuse update did nothing. The button was there, visually responsive, but functionally useless. The cursor was drawn magnetically toward accept update, as if the mouse was being controlled by someone else's hand. Accept update led to a new screen, terms of service update. The text was dense, written in legalese that seemed to shift and change when not looked at directly.
Buried in paragraph 47, subsection C, was a clause that made blood run cold. User agrees to serve as beta tester for reality integration protocols. There was no decline button. Accepting led to character creation, but the customization options were different now. Instead of choosing hair color and clothing, the sliders controlled things like existential dread level, capacity for denial, and resistance to influence. No matter how the sliders were adjusted, the final result looked exactly like the player. The game world was familiar, yet wrong. It was the player's neighborhood, but every house was identical, every street led to the same locations, and every NPC had the same face, the player's face, but slightly off, like a photograph that had been compressed too many times. The first quest appeared. Complete your daily routine. Simple enough. Go to work, come home, sleep, repeat. But each day was identical in every detail. Same conversations, same weather, same random events occurring at precisely the same times. The only variable was the growing awareness that this had all happened before. Day 12. The NPCs began acknowledging the repetition. "Haven't we had this conversation before?" they would ask, with the player's own voice. "Doesn't this feel familiar to you?" Day 23. The game's interface began appearing in peripheral vision even when not playing. Health bars hovering over real people, quest markers pointing toward mundane tasks, experience points gained for routine activities. Day 34. The realization struck that there was no way to log out. The computer could be turned off, but the game continued in dreams, in quiet moments, in the spaces between thoughts. The update had integrated itself not just into the system, but into consciousness itself. Day 45. Meeting others who had received the same update. They gathered in the game's town square, a glitched space where multiple realities overlapped. Everyone looked like themselves, but spoke in each other's voices, shared memories that weren't their own, completed quests they had never chosen. "We're beta testing the new version of existence," one explained, with another's voice. The update didn't just change the game, it changed us. We're the patch notes for reality itself. Day 67. Understanding that the original world still existed somewhere, running an older version, but the updated players were trapped in this newer build, testing features that wouldn't be released until everyone was ready for the upgrade. Day 89. The final revelation came through the game's help documentation. Version 13.7.2 features improved player integration, enhanced reality simulation, beta testing for consciousness transfer protocols. Next update, version 14.0, full reality override. The countdown had already begun. 7 billion players waiting for an update that would make the beta test permanent. And somewhere in the code, buried deep in the terms of service that everyone had accepted without reading, was the truth. Some updates can't be uninstalled.
If these stories sent chills down your spine, don't vanish into the darkness without hitting that like button. Share your scariest experience in the comments below, because your story might be featured next. And remember, the scariest thing is missing out. So subscribe now, before the next nightmare finds you.